The silence at our dinner table had become deafening. 3 years of marriage, and Jennifer Collins, she kept her maiden name naturally, sat across from me picking at her salmon like it personally offended her. The candlelight I'd carefully arranged flickered between us, casting shadows that seemed to dance mockingly around our forced romantic evening. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "This is nice," I said, though we both knew it was a lie. "My name is Harold Barnes, and I'm a certified public accountant with a small but successful practice in downtown Portland. Numbers don't lie, unlike people. Numbers are predictable, reliable. They follow rules." Jennifer looked up from her plate, her green eyes distant. "Harold, we need to talk." Those 4 words. Every married man knows them. They're never followed by good news. I set down my fork and leaned back in my chair, studying her face. The face I'd fallen in love with 4 years ago at a charity fundraiser. The face that had promised to love, honor, and cherish me through better or worse. "I'm listening," I said, though my stomach was already tightening into knots. She pushed her plate away and folded her hands on the table. "I've been thinking about us, about where we're going, and I don't think this is working anymore." I nodded slowly. Part of me had been expecting this conversation for months. The late nights at her marketing firm, the sudden interest in fitness, the new clothes, the changed passwords on her phone, the way she flinched when I touched her. "There's someone else, isn't there?" I asked. Jennifer's cheeks flushed pink. "Harold, please don't make this harder than it needs to be." "That's not an answer." She sighed, running her fingers through her auburn hair. "Yes, there is someone else." The words hung in the air between us like smoke. I should have felt surprised, hurt, devastated. Instead, I felt oddly calm, maybe because I'd suspected for so long that the confirmation almost came as a relief. "Who?" I asked. "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." Jennifer looked down at her hands. "His name is Trevor. He's my personal trainer at the gym." Of course. The cliché was so perfect, it almost made me laugh. The neglected housewife and the muscle-bound trainer. I'd seen this movie before, and it never ended well for anyone involved. "How long?" I asked. "Harold, how long, Jennifer?" 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies, deception, and betrayal. Half a year of me trying to save a marriage that was already over. Half a year of romantic dinners, weekend getaways, and couples therapy sessions while she was planning her escape. "I see," I said. "That's it? That's all you have to say?" I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd trusted with my heart, my future, my bank accounts. She seemed smaller somehow, diminished by her confession. "What would you like me to say, Jennifer? That I'm shocked? That I had no idea? We both know that would be a lie." Her eyes widened. "You knew?" I suspected. The signs were all there. Late nights, changed behavior, new clothes, mysterious phone calls. You weren't exactly subtle. "Then why didn't you say anything?" I picked up my wine glass and took a slow sip. I kept hoping I was wrong. I kept thinking maybe we could work through whatever was happening between us. I guess I was naive. Jennifer's expression softened slightly. "Harold, I never meant for it to happen this way. Trevor and we just connected. He understands me in ways that—" "Stop!" I held up my hand. "Please. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending this was some grand romance. You had an affair. Own it." She straightened in her chair, her momentary vulnerability replaced by defiance. "Fine. Yes, I had an affair. And yes, I'm leaving you for him. I'm moving in with Trevor tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" I raised an eyebrow. "You've had this all planned out, haven't you?" I've been thinking about it for weeks. And you decided to tell me over dinner. How thoughtful. Jennifer's jaw tightened. Don't be sarcastic, Harold. It doesn't suit you. Neither does betrayal, but here we are. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend to be happy in a marriage that feels like a prison sentence. A prison sentence? I stood as well, my calm facade beginning to crack. Is that what our marriage has been to you? A prison? You want the truth? Yes. You're boring, Harold. You're predictable. You come home at the same time every day. You eat the same breakfast every morning. You watch the same shows every night. You're like a robot programmed for mediocrity. Her words stung, but I kept my voice level. I'm stable, Jennifer. I'm reliable. I thought those were good qualities in a husband. They are. For someone else. Not for me. I walked around the table until I was standing directly in front of her. And Trevor? What does he offer that I don't? Excitement, passion, adventure. And a paycheck that's probably half of mine. Money isn't everything, Harold. Says the woman who maxed out 3 credit cards last month on clothes and spa treatments. Jennifer's face flushed with anger. I don't have to listen to this. No, you don't. In fact, why don't you pack your things and leave tonight? I'm sure Trevor won't mind the company. Fine. I will. Good. We stood there staring at each other, 3 years of marriage reduced to this moment of mutual contempt. I could see the woman I'd fallen in love with buried somewhere beneath the anger and resentment, but she felt like a stranger now. I'll get my things, Jennifer said finally. I'll help you carry them to your car. She looked surprised. That's very civil of you. I'm a civil person, Jennifer. It's one of my boring, predictable qualities. As she headed upstairs to pack, I began clearing the dinner table. The romantic evening I'd planned lay in ruins around me, but oddly enough, I felt lighter than I had in months. The uncertainty was over, the pretending was finished, the marriage was done. I loaded the dishwasher and blew out the candles, then walked to my home office and opened my laptop. I had work to do, phone calls to make, arrangements to complete. Because while Jennifer thought she was so clever with her secret affair and her dramatic revelation, she had no idea that I'd been preparing for this moment for weeks. She'd been planning her escape, but I'd been planning my defense. And tomorrow, she was going to discover just how boring and predictable Harold Barnes could be. The sound of Jennifer's footsteps upstairs reminded me of a frantic animal gathering supplies for winter, drawers slamming, closet doors creaking, the occasional muttered curse when she couldn't find something. I sat in my office, methodically going through my checklist. 3 weeks ago, I'd hired a private investigator named Patricia Walsh. Patricia was a former police detective who specialized in matrimonial cases. She was thorough, discreet, and expensive. She was also very good at her job. The manila folder on my desk contained photographs, credit card statements, phone records, and a detailed timeline of Jennifer's affair. Patricia had documented everything: the hotel visits, the expensive dinners, the shopping trips where Jennifer bought lingerie I'd never seen. Most interesting was the financial information. Jennifer had been siphoning money from our joint accounts for months, moving it to a personal account I didn't know existed. Small amounts at first, then larger ones as she grew bolder. In total, she'd stolen nearly $15,000. I picked up my phone and dialed Patricia's number. Walsh Investigations, she answered on the second ring. Patricia, it's Harold Barnes. She just told me. We're moving forward with everything we discussed. Are you sure? Once we start this process, there's no going back. I'm sure. All right. I'll make the calls. Everything will be in place by morning. Thank you. Harold? Are you okay? I considered the question. Was I okay? My wife had just confessed to a 6-month affair and announced she was leaving me for her trainer. By most measures, I should be devastated. I'm fine, I said, and realized I meant it. After hanging up, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a set of documents my lawyer, Robert Taylor, had prepared. Jennifer would be served with divorce papers within 48 hours. The papers included a detailed accounting of her financial theft and a request for full restitution. I also had copies of the prenuptial agreement Jennifer had reluctantly signed before our wedding. Her father, a successful real estate developer, had actually insisted on it. He'd told me privately that he was worried about Jennifer's spending habits and wanted to protect both of us. Smart man. The prenup was ironclad. In the event of adultery, the cheating spouse forfeited any claim to the other's assets. Jennifer would leave our marriage with exactly what she'd brought into it: her car, her personal belongings, and her credit card debt. "Harold," Jennifer's voice called from upstairs. "Can you help me with something?" I climbed the stairs to our bedroom, my bedroom now, and found her struggling with a large suitcase. "The zipper's stuck," she said, not meeting my eyes. I knelt beside the suitcase and worked the zipper free. The case was packed with clothes, shoes, and jewelry. I noticed she'd taken the diamond earrings I'd given her for our first anniversary. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You're welcome." We carried her bags downstairs in silence. 3 suitcases, 2 boxes, and a garment bag. 3 years of marriage reduced to what could fit in the trunk of her BMW. As we loaded the last box, Jennifer turned to me. "Harold, I want you to know that I never meant to hurt you." "But you did hurt me, Jennifer. You've been hurting me for months." "I know, and I'm sorry." "Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught?" She didn't answer, which was answer enough. "Will you be staying at Trevor's?" I asked. "Yes, at least temporarily." "And then?" "I don't know. We haven't figured everything out yet." I almost laughed. She'd blown up our marriage for a man she hadn't figured everything out with, but I kept my thoughts to myself. "I'll need your house keys," I said. Jennifer looked surprised. "My keys?" "This is my house, Jennifer. I bought it before we got married. You can't keep the keys." "But what if I forgot something? Then you can call me, and we'll arrange a time for you to pick it up." She reluctantly handed over her key ring, removing the house key and garage door opener. Her hands were shaking slightly. "Harold, are we going to be able to handle this like adults? The divorce, I mean?" I looked at her standing in my driveway, surrounded by her hastily packed belongings, asking me to be reasonable about the end of our marriage. "That depends on you, Jennifer." "What do you mean?" "I mean that how this goes will depend entirely on how honest you are about what you've done." Something flickered in her eyes. Fear, maybe, or guilt. "I don't understand." "You will." She stared at me for a long moment, then got into her car. I watched as she drove away, her tail lights disappearing into the night. Back inside, the house felt different. Emptier, but also cleaner somehow. Like a weight had been lifted. I walked through the rooms, noting what was missing. She'd taken some things that weren't technically hers, wedding gifts that had been given to both of us, a few pieces of furniture we'd bought together. I made a mental note to discuss these items with Robert. I poured myself a glass of whiskey and sat in my living room, looking around at what remained of my life. Tomorrow would bring challenges. Jennifer would probably be angry when she realized I wasn't going to be the pushover she expected. Her family would likely get involved. There would be lawyers, negotiations, paperwork. But tonight, for the first time in months, I felt at peace. My phone buzzed with a text message. I expected it to be from Jennifer, maybe a last-minute apology or a request for something she'd forgotten. Instead, it was from my daughter Beck. Well, my stepdaughter, technically, but I'd helped raise her since she was 12. She was 22 now, finishing her senior year at Portland State University. "Hey Harold, just wanted to check in. Haven't heard from you and Jennifer in a while. Hope everything's okay." I stared at the message for a long time. Beck and her younger sister Sylvia were from Jennifer's first marriage. Their biological father had walked out when Beck was 10 and Sylvia was 8. I'd been the only real father figure they'd known. Jennifer's departure would affect them too. They'd have to choose sides, navigate the awkwardness of divided loyalties. They'd probably blame me, at least initially. Jennifer was their mother after all. I typed back, "Everything's fine, just busy with work. How are your classes going?" It wasn't technically a lie. Everything was fine. Better than fine, actually. Beck responded immediately. "Good. Almost done with my thesis. Can't wait for you and Mom to read it." My chest tightened. Beck had no idea that her family was falling apart. Neither did Sylvia, who was finishing her sophomore year at Oregon State. Jennifer would have to tell them, and knowing Jennifer, she'd spin the story to make me the villain. I finished my whiskey and headed to bed. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but tonight I was going to sleep better than I had in months. As I turned off the lights, I thought about Jennifer's parting words. She'd asked if we could handle the divorce like adults. She was about to find out exactly what kind of adult Harold Barnes could be. I woke up at 6:30, same as always. The bed felt larger without Jennifer's presence, but not uncomfortably so. I'd slept through the night without interruption for the first time in weeks. My morning routine was exactly as Jennifer had described it. Predictable. Coffee, shower, breakfast, news. The habits of a boring man, according to my soon-to-be ex-wife. But these habits had built a successful accounting practice, paid for a beautiful home, and provided a stable life for a woman who'd apparently found stability suffocating. At 8 o'clock, my phone rang. Robert Taylor, my attorney. "Harold, Patricia Walsh filled me in on last night's events. How are you holding up?" "Better than expected." "Good. I've prepared the divorce papers as we discussed. Jennifer will be served this afternoon at her office." "And the financial records?" "All documented. The unauthorized transfers, the hidden account, the credit card charges. We have everything we need." "What about the prenup?" "Solid as a rock. Her father's attorney did excellent work. Jennifer signed away any claim to your assets in the event of adultery, and Patricia's evidence is more than sufficient to prove the affair." I felt a grim satisfaction. What should I expect? Initially, shock, then anger. Jennifer will probably hire an attorney who will try to challenge the prenup, but they won't have much success. The agreement is clear, and the evidence is overwhelming. "And her family?" Robert paused. "That's where things might get complicated. The Collins family has money and influence. They might try to pressure you into a more generous settlement." "Let them try." "Harold, I need to ask you this directly. Are you sure you want to play hardball? Divorce is expensive and emotionally draining, even when you're in the right. Sometimes it's easier to just pay the cheating spouse to go away quietly." I thought about Jennifer's words from the night before. Prison sentence, boring, predictable, mediocre. "I'm sure, Robert. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences." "All right then. I'll be in touch after she's served." After hanging up, I drove to my office. Barnes & Associates occupied the third floor of a renovated brick building in downtown Portland. I'd built the practice from nothing over the past 8 years, and it now employed 6 people and served over 200 clients. My assistant, Margaret, looked up as I entered. Margaret was 62, had been with me for 5 years, and possessed an uncanny ability to read my moods. "You look different this morning," she said. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you've been carrying something heavy and finally put it down." Margaret had never particularly liked Jennifer. She'd never said anything directly, but I'd caught the occasional disapproving look when Jennifer called the office demanding I leave work early for some social obligation. "Jennifer and I separated last night," I said. Margaret's expression didn't change. "I see. Are you all right?" "I'm fine, but I may need to adjust my schedule over the next few weeks. There will be legal matters to attend to." "Of course. Whatever you need." I spent the morning reviewing client files and returning phone calls. The familiar routine of numbers and tax codes provided a welcome distraction. At 11:30, Patricia Walsh called. "Harold, I have some interesting news. I've been monitoring Jennifer's credit cards, and she made some significant purchases this morning. What kind of purchases? Expensive ones. A $2,000 handbag, $1,500 at a jewelry store, $800 at a spa. All told, she spent over $5,000 before noon. I frowned. On what credit card? One of the joint accounts. Technically, she still has access until the divorce is finalized. Can we stop the card? I've already called the bank. The account is frozen as of 10 minutes ago. I imagined Jennifer's reaction when her card was declined at her next stop. That should be interesting. There's more. I followed her to Trevor's apartment this morning. It's not exactly what you'd call upscale. Studio apartment in a converted warehouse, probably 800 square feet. Jennifer's BMW looked pretty out of place in the parking lot. And Trevor? 28 years old, originally from California. He's been working at the gym for 2 years. Makes about $30,000 a year, has $15,000 in credit card debt, and was evicted from his last apartment for non-payment of rent. I absorbed this information. Jennifer had left a successful accountant for a broke personal trainer with a history of financial problems. The irony was almost too perfect. Anything else? Jennifer called in sick to work this morning. Her boss wasn't happy. Apparently, she's been calling in sick a lot lately. Keep monitoring the situation. I want to know everything. Will do. At 12:15, my phone rang. Jennifer's name appeared on the caller ID. Hello, Jennifer? Harold, what did you do? Her voice was tight with anger. I'm going to need you to be more specific. My credit card was declined. The bank says the account is frozen. The joint account? Yes, I froze it this morning. You can't do that. Actually, I can. It's a joint account, which means either party can freeze it. I've instructed the bank to prevent any further unauthorized withdrawals. Unauthorized? It's my account, too. It was your account. As of this morning, you're no longer a member of this household, which means you no longer have access to household finances. There was a long pause. Harold, please, I need that account. I have expenses. You should have thought about that before you decided to steal $15,000 from it. I didn't steal anything. That was our money. No, Jennifer, it was my money. Money I earned while you were having an affair with your trainer. Another pause, longer this time. How do you know about the $15,000? I know about a lot of things, Jennifer. More than you might expect from someone so boring and predictable. Harold, please, can't we discuss this like reasonable adults? We are discussing it. I'm being very reasonable. You committed adultery, you stole money from our joint accounts, and you abandoned our marriage. These actions have consequences. What consequences? You'll find out soon enough. I hung up and immediately called Robert Taylor. She knows about the frozen accounts, I said. That was fast. She must have tried to use the card pretty quickly after leaving you. Apparently she went on a shopping spree this morning. $5,000 worth of purchases. Robert whistled. That's going to look great in court, spending spree the morning after confessing to adultery. My thoughts exactly. Harold, she's going to escalate this, probably call her family, maybe hire an attorney today instead of waiting for the papers to be served. Let her. Are you prepared for this to get ugly? I thought about the question. Was I prepared? Jennifer had betrayed our marriage, stolen our money, and insulted me in the process. She'd made it clear that she viewed me as boring, predictable, and mediocre. She'd planned her escape carefully, thinking I'd be too weak or too naive to fight back. Robert, I've spent 3 years trying to save a marriage to a woman who was planning to leave me. I've been patient, understanding, and forgiving. I've ignored the signs, made excuses for her behavior, and blamed myself for our problems. I'm done being the accommodating husband. All right then, let's show Mrs. Collins what boring and predictable really looks like. After hanging up, I returned to my work, but concentration was difficult. I kept thinking about Jennifer's phone call, the anger and desperation in her voice when she realized I wasn't going to be the pushover she expected. At 2 o'clock, Margaret knocked on my office door. Harold, There's a woman here to see you. She says she's Jennifer's sister. My stomach dropped. Amanda Collins Wright, Jennifer's older sister. Married to a prominent Portland attorney, mother of two, and the self-appointed matriarch of the Collins family since their parents had retired to Arizona. Send her in. Amanda swept into my office like she owned it. Tall, blonde, and imperious, she'd never made any secret of her belief that Jennifer had married beneath her station. "Harold," she said, not bothering with pleasantries. "We need to talk." "Hello, Amanda. Please have a seat." She remained standing. "Jennifer called me this morning. She's very upset." I imagine she is. She says you've frozen her bank accounts and kicked her out of the house. Jennifer chose to leave the house, and I froze our joint account to prevent further unauthorized withdrawals. Amanda's eyes narrowed. "Unauthorized withdrawals? Harold, Jennifer is your wife." "Was my wife. As of last night, she's my estranged wife who's moved in with her lover." That's a very harsh way to put it. It's an accurate way to put it. Amanda finally sat down, crossing her legs and fixing me with what I assumed was supposed to be an intimidating stare. "Harold, I'm going to speak plainly. The Collins family has always tried to be supportive of your marriage to Jennifer, despite our concerns about the compatibility issues." "Compatibility issues? You're from very different backgrounds, different social circles, different expectations." I leaned back in my chair. "You mean I'm not rich enough for your sister?" "I mean that Jennifer needs a certain lifestyle to be happy. She's always been high maintenance." "High maintenance is one way to put it. Adulterous thief is another." Amanda's composure cracked slightly. "There's no need for name-calling." "I'm not calling names. I'm stating facts. Jennifer had an affair, and she stole money from our joint accounts. These aren't opinions, Amanda. They're documented facts. Even if that's true, surely you can handle this situation with some dignity." "I am handling it with dignity. I'm also handling it according to the law." Amanda stood up abruptly. "Harold, I'm going to give you some advice. The Collins family has significant resources and influence in this city. We can make this divorce very expensive and very public for you, or we can handle it quietly and generously. The choice is yours." I stood as well, meeting her gaze. "Is that a threat, Amanda?" "It's a reality check. Here's my reality check. Jennifer signed a prenuptial agreement that forfeits her claim to my assets in the event of adultery. She then committed adultery and stole $15,000 from our joint accounts. She's going to be served with divorce papers this afternoon, and she's going to discover that her wealthy family's influence doesn't extend to changing the legal consequences of her choices." Amanda's face flushed red. "You're making a mistake, Harold." "The only mistake I made was trusting your sister." After Amanda left, I sat in my office trying to process what had just happened. The Collins family was circling the wagons, just as Robert had predicted. They were going to try to intimidate me into a generous settlement. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The rest of the afternoon passed quietly. I focused on client work, reviewed quarterly reports, and tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy. At 4:30, Robert called to confirm that Jennifer had been served with the divorce papers at her office. "How did she take it?" I asked. "About as well as you'd expect. According to the process server, she went pale, then started crying, then started yelling. Security had to escort her from the building." "She was escorted out?" "Apparently, she became quite vocal about her feelings regarding you, me, and the legal system in general. Her boss felt it was disruptive to the workplace." I rubbed my temples. "So she's probably unemployed now, too." "That would be my guess. Harold, you should probably expect some contact from her tonight. She's going to be desperate." "I'll be ready." I left the office at 6 and stopped at the grocery store on the way home. For the first time in 3 years, I could buy exactly what I wanted without considering Jennifer's dietary restrictions, food preferences, or social obligations. I picked up ingredients for a simple pasta dinner and a bottle of wine I'd been wanting to try. The house felt peaceful when I arrived home. I cooked dinner, opened the wine, and ate in comfortable silence while reading a book I'd been meaning to finish for months. Simple pleasures that had somehow become complicated during my marriage. At 8:30, my phone rang. Jennifer. Harold, please, we need to talk. We are talking. In person. Can I come over? No. Please. I'm begging you. This is insane. The prenup, the frozen accounts, the divorce papers, we can work this out. There's nothing to work out, Jennifer. You made your choice. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk at the store. A 6-month affair and stealing $15,000 isn't a mistake. It's a pattern of deliberate deception. I could hear her crying. Harold, I love you. I know I screwed up, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling, we can... You love me? Is that why you moved in with Trevor yesterday? I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. Where are you calling from? A pause. Trevor's apartment. And where is Trevor right now? Another pause. He's here. So you're calling me from your lover's apartment, telling me you love me, while he's listening. Do you see how that might seem insincere? Harold, please. Jennifer, listen to me very carefully. You chose to have an affair. You chose to steal money from our accounts. You chose to leave our marriage for another man. You chose to insult and belittle me on your way out. These were your choices, and now you get to live with the consequences. The consequences are too harsh. The prenup, it's not fair. You signed it willingly. I was pressured into signing it. By who? Your own father? Silence. Jennifer, your father insisted on the prenup because he was worried about exactly this situation. He knew you better than I did, apparently. Harold, I'm asking you to have mercy. I have nothing. No job, no money, no place to live. You have Trevor. Trevor can't support me. And there it was. The truth beneath all the talk of love and excitement and passion. Trevor couldn't support the lifestyle Jennifer had become accustomed to. The affair had been fun when it was just sneaking around in hotel rooms, but the reality of actually living with a broke personal trainer was setting in. That sounds like a problem you should have considered before you moved in with him. Harold, please. I'm scared. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You should be scared, Jennifer. You've made some very poor choices, and now you're facing the consequences. But that's not my problem anymore. I hung up and immediately turned off the phone. An hour later, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Jennifer standing on my front porch, alone. She looked terrible. Red eyes, disheveled hair, rumpled clothes. She'd been crying. I opened the door but left the chain lock engaged. What do you want, Jennifer? To talk to you, face to face. We've talked. There's nothing left to say. Harold, please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. Jennifer stepped inside and immediately began looking around the house as if seeing it for the first time. It looks different, she said. It looks the same. You've been gone for 1 day. It feels different then. We stood in the foyer, an awkward distance between us. Up close, I could see that she'd been crying for hours. Her makeup was smeared, her clothes were wrinkled, and she had the desperate look of someone whose world was falling apart. Jennifer, what do you want? I want to come home. This isn't your home anymore. Harold, I made a terrible mistake. The worst mistake of my life. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can't fix adultery, Jennifer. We can't fix theft. We can't fix the fact that you called our marriage a prison sentence. I didn't mean that. I was angry. I was confused. You meant it. And you were probably right. Maybe our marriage was a prison sentence for you. But it's over now, so you're free. Jennifer stepped closer to me. Harold, I love you. I know I hurt you, but I love you. No, you don't. You love the lifestyle I provided. You love the house, the cars, the credit cards, the security. You don't love me. That's not true. Then why did you have an affair? I don't know. I was lonely. I was bored. I made a stupid mistake. For 6 months? Jennifer's shoulders sagged. Harold, what do you want me to say? That I'm a terrible person? That I don't deserve forgiveness? Fine. I'm terrible. But I'm your wife, and I'm asking you to forgive me. You're not my wife anymore. You're my estranged spouse who's living with another man. I can leave, Trevor. I can move out tonight. And go where? Back to your parents in Arizona? Back to Amanda's guest room? Face the embarrassment of explaining to everyone why your marriage failed? Jennifer's face crumpled. Harold, please. I have nowhere else to go. You should have thought of that before you decided our marriage was a prison sentence. She started crying again, harder this time. I don't know what to do. I lost my job today. I have no money. Trevor's apartment is horrible, and he can't afford to take care of me. I made a huge mistake, and now my life is ruined. I felt a flicker of sympathy, but I pushed it down. Your life isn't ruined, Jennifer. It's just different now. You wanted excitement and passion instead of boring stability. Congratulations, you got what you wanted. I want my old life back. That's not an option. Jennifer looked around the house again, at the comfortable furniture, the artwork we'd chosen together, the life she'd thrown away for a few months of cheap thrills with a personal trainer. Harold, what if I sign something? A postnup or an agreement or whatever? What if I give up any claim to your money or property? Would you consider taking me back? I stared at her. You're willing to give up any financial claim to our marriage? Yes, if that's what it takes. Jennifer, you already gave up any financial claim to our marriage. Remember the prenup? The one you signed 3 years ago? Her face went pale. But that was just in case of divorce. If we stay married. We're not staying married. I filed for divorce this afternoon. You can withdraw the filing. I don't want to withdraw it. Jennifer stepped closer, reaching out to touch my arm. Harold, please. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm begging you. Give me another chance. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. 3 years of marriage, and it had come to this. My wife begging me to take her back, not because she loved me, but because she'd discovered that her lover couldn't provide the lifestyle she wanted. Jennifer, answer me honestly. If Trevor was a successful businessman who could support you in the style you're accustomed to, would you be here right now? She opened her mouth to answer, then closed it. That's what I thought. I gently removed her hand from my arm. It's time for you to leave. Harold, it's time to leave, Jennifer. She stood there for another moment, tears streaming down her face, then turned and walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. I really did love you, you know, in the beginning. I know. I loved you too. But love isn't enough when there's no respect. After she left, I poured myself another glass of wine and sat in my living room thinking about the conversation. Jennifer's desperation had been genuine, but so had her calculation. She wasn't asking for forgiveness because she was truly sorry. She was asking because her plan had backfired spectacularly. The phone rang at 11:30. I almost didn't answer, assuming it was Jennifer calling for another round of begging, but the caller ID showed Patricia Walsh's number. Patricia, it's late. I know, but I thought you should be aware of what's happening. Jennifer and Trevor are having a very loud argument in the parking lot of his apartment complex. The neighbors have called the police twice. What are they arguing about? Money, from what I can gather. Trevor's upset that Jennifer can't contribute financially to their living situation. She's upset that his apartment is, quote, a dump that smells like dirty socks. I almost laughed. The honeymoon phase is over already? Appears so. Harold, there's something else. Trevor's been asking around about you. Your business, your assets, your family. I think he's trying to figure out if there's any way to get money out of this situation. Let him ask. There's nothing he can do. Just be careful. Desperate people do stupid things. After hanging up, I went to bed, but sleep was elusive. I kept thinking about Jennifer's visit, her desperation, her offer to sign away any claim to my assets. The irony was perfect. She was offering to do exactly what she'd already done 3 years ago. But I also thought about Trevor asking questions about my finances. Patricia was right. Desperate people did stupid things. I made a mental note to review my security system in the morning. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor. I was having coffee and reviewing client files when Margaret buzzed my office. "Harold, there's a young woman here to see you. Says her name is Beck." My heart sank. Beck, Jennifer's older daughter, my stepdaughter. She was supposed to be in class at Portland State, but instead she was here, probably having heard about the divorce from her mother. "Send her in." Beck entered my office looking confused and hurt. At 22, she had her mother's auburn hair, but her biological father's brown eyes. She'd always been the more serious of Jennifer's 2 daughters, focused on her studies and career plans. "Hi, Harold." Her voice was small, uncertain. "Beck, this is a surprise. Shouldn't you be in class?" "I should be, but Mom called me last night. She was crying and not making much sense, but she said you two were getting divorced and that you'd frozen her bank accounts and kicked her out of the house." I gestured for her to sit down. "Your mother and I are getting divorced, yes. But I didn't kick her out. She chose to leave. She said you were being cruel, that you won't even talk to her." "Beck, this is a difficult situation. There are things about your mother's behavior that you probably don't know about." "Like what?" I studied her face. Beck had always been mature for her age, but she was still Jennifer's daughter. How much should I tell her? "Your mother had an affair. She's been seeing someone else for 6 months." Beck's face went pale. "That's not true." "I'm afraid it is. Mom wouldn't do that. She loves you." "Beck, your mother moved in with her lover 2 days ago. She told me herself that she was leaving me for him." Beck stared at me for a long moment, then started crying. "I don't understand. You guys seemed happy." "We seemed happy because I was trying very hard to save our marriage. Your mother was trying very hard to plan her exit." "But why? What happened?" I handed Beck a box of tissues. "Sometimes people change, Beck. Sometimes they want different things. Your mother decided she wanted excitement instead of stability. So you're just giving up? You're not going to fight for your marriage?" "I fought for 3 years, Beck. I went to counseling. I planned romantic evenings. I tried to be the husband your mother wanted me to be. But you can't fight for a marriage when only one person is actually in it." Beck wiped her eyes. "What about me and Sylvia? We're your family too." That hit me harder than I'd expected. "You are my family. You'll always be my family. This divorce doesn't change how I feel about you and your sister. But it changes everything else." "Yes, it does." Beck was quiet for several minutes, processing the information. Finally, she looked up at me. "Harold, is it true that you won't help Mom financially? She says she has no money and nowhere to go. Your mother stole $15,000 from our joint accounts over the past 6 months. She also signed a prenuptial agreement that forfeits her claim to my assets in the event of adultery." "She stole money?" "Small amounts at first, then larger ones. She was funding her affair with our household money." Beck's expression hardened. "I can't believe this. This isn't the mother I know." "People do things we don't expect when they're being deceptive, Beck. What's going to happen to her?" "I don't know. That's not my responsibility anymore." Beck stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. "Sylvia doesn't know yet. Mom hasn't told her. She'll have to tell her soon. Sylvia's going to be devastated. She always thought you and Mom had the perfect marriage." "I thought we did too." Beck turned back to me. "Harold, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." "Okay. Is there any chance you could forgive Mom? I know she messed up badly, but she's still our mother. And I think she really does love you." I considered the question carefully. Beck deserved an honest answer. Beck, your mother came to see me last night. She begged me to take her back, but not because she loves me. She begged me to take her back because her affair partner can't support her financially. She's not sorry she had an affair. She's sorry it didn't work out the way she planned. Beck's shoulders sagged. So there's no hope? No. There's no hope. After Beck left, I tried to focus on work, but concentration was difficult. Seeing the pain in Beck's eyes reminded me that divorce affects more than just the married couple. Beck and Sylvia were going to be casualties of their mother's choices. At lunch, I called my brother Mike in Seattle. Mike was 2 years older than me, a successful architect, and one of the few people whose advice I trusted completely. Harold, good to hear from you. How's married life? Over. There was a pause. What happened? I gave Mike the abbreviated version. The affair, the theft, the divorce filing, the prenup. Jesus, Harold, I'm sorry. Are you okay? I'm better than I expected to be. And Jennifer? How's she taking it? Not well. She's discovering that her lover can't provide the lifestyle she's accustomed to. Ah, the classic midlife crisis affair. Excitement over security until reality sets in. Something like that. What do you need from me? Nothing specific. I just wanted to tell someone in the family what was happening before they heard it from someone else. Are you sure you're okay? You sound almost relieved. I thought about that. I think I am relieved. I've been trying to save a marriage that was already over. At least now I know where I stand. Harold, can I give you some advice? Sure. Don't let them guilt you into a generous settlement. I know Jennifer's family has money and influence, but you're the wronged party here. Don't let them spin this into your fault. They're already trying. Of course they are. Rich people always think money can solve problems they created. Stand your ground. After talking to Mike, I felt more confident about my position. I wasn't being cruel or vindictive. I was simply enforcing the consequences of Jennifer's choices. At 3 o'clock, Margaret buzzed me again. Harold, there's a man here to see you. Says his name is Trevor, and it's about Jennifer. My heart rate shot up. Trevor, the personal trainer, the man my wife had left me for. Send him in. Trevor was exactly what I'd expected. Tall, muscular, artificially tanned, with the kind of perfect teeth that suggested expensive dental work he probably couldn't afford. He was wearing a tight t-shirt that showed off his physique and jeans that looked like they'd been painted on. Mr. Barnes, I'm Trevor Michaels. I know who you are. Can we talk? We are talking. Trevor looked around my office, taking in the expensive furniture, the diplomas on the wall, the view of downtown Portland. I could see him calculating, appraising, figuring out how much money I had. This is about Jennifer, he said. I assumed as much. Look, man, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Jennifer and I, we're not serious. It was just a fling, you know? She was lonely. I was available. Things happened. I leaned back in my chair. And you're telling me this because? Because I think you and Jennifer can work things out. She loves you, man. She made a mistake, but she loves you. How generous of you to release your claim on my wife. Trevor shifted uncomfortably. I'm just trying to do the right thing here. The right thing would have been not sleeping with a married woman for 6 months. Yeah, well, that ship has sailed, but we can fix this going forward. I studied Trevor's face. He was nervous, sweating slightly despite the air conditioning. Trevor, let me ask you something. How much do you make as a personal trainer? What does that have to do with anything? Humor me. I don't see how that's relevant. I'll take that as confirmation that it's not very much. Certainly not enough to support Jennifer in the lifestyle she's accustomed to. Trevor's jaw tightened. Money isn't everything. Says the man who's trying to give away his girlfriend because he can't afford to keep her. That's not what this is about. Isn't it? Jennifer's expensive, Trevor. Designer clothes, luxury cars, spa treatments, expensive restaurants. Can you afford all that on a trainer's salary? We'll figure it out. No, you won't. Because Jennifer doesn't want to figure it out. She wants someone else to pay for her lifestyle while she enjoys your excitement. Trevor stood up abruptly. Look, I'm trying to be cool about this, but Jennifer is with me now. She chose me. She chose you when she thought I'd be the accommodating ex-husband who'd pay alimony and let her have half my assets. Now that she's discovered I'm not going to do that, she's having second thoughts. You're wrong. Am I? Then why are you here, Trevor? If Jennifer is so happy with you, why are you in my office trying to give her back to me? Trevor didn't answer. Here's what I think happened, I continued. Jennifer moved in with you expecting that I'd be devastated and desperate to get her back. She thought she could have her cake and eat it too, keep you for excitement and keep me for financial security. But when she discovered I was filing for divorce and cutting off her access to money, suddenly your studio apartment didn't seem so romantic anymore. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? How many fights have you two had about money in the past 2 days? How many times has Jennifer complained about your apartment, your income, your inability to take her to the restaurants she likes? Trevor's face flushed red. She's adjusting. She's panicking. And so are you, because you're realizing that you can't afford the woman you stole from me. Trevor stepped closer to my desk. Maybe I can't afford her lifestyle, but I can give her things you can't. Such as? Passion, excitement, real intimacy. I almost laughed. Trevor, you're 28 years old. You think passion and excitement pay the rent? You think intimacy buys groceries? There's more to life than money. You're absolutely right. There's also loyalty, honesty, and commitment. 3 things Jennifer doesn't seem to understand. Trevor was quiet for a moment, then sat back down. Look, Mr. Barnes, I'm going to be straight with you. Jennifer is driving me crazy. She cries all the time. She complains about everything. She keeps talking about how much she misses her old life. I thought she'd be happy with me, but she's miserable. And there it was, the truth. So you want me to take her back and solve your problem. I want everyone to be happy. Trevor, let me give you some advice. Jennifer isn't happy because she made choices based on fantasy instead of reality. She thought she could have an affair with no consequences. She thought she could leave her marriage and keep her lifestyle. She thought she could trade security for excitement without giving anything up. Now she's discovering that actions have consequences, and she doesn't like it. So you're just going to abandon her? I'm not abandoning her. I'm divorcing her. There's a difference. Trevor stood up again. This is messed up, man. She's your wife. Was my wife. She stopped being my wife when she started being your girlfriend. You're really going to make her suffer for one mistake? 6 months isn't one mistake, Trevor. It's a pattern of deliberate deception. Trevor headed for the door, then turned back. You know what? Maybe Jennifer is better off without you. Maybe you are boring and predictable. Maybe I am. But I'm also honest and loyal, 2 qualities that seem to be in short supply in Jennifer's life lately. After Trevor left, I sat in my office trying to process the conversation. The man who'd stolen my wife had just tried to give her back because he couldn't afford to keep her. The irony was almost too perfect. My phone rang. Robert Taylor. Harold, we have a problem. Jennifer's hired Marcus Thompson. I knew the name. Thompson was one of Portland's most aggressive divorce attorneys, famous for his scorched earth tactics and his ability to extract large settlements from wealthy spouses. How aggressive are we talking? Very. He's already filed a motion to challenge the prenup and another motion for emergency spousal support. He's claiming that Jennifer signed the prenup under duress and that you're trying to leave her destitute. Can he succeed? Not with the prenup challenge. The agreement is solid and we have too much evidence of the affair. But the emergency support motion might be trickier. If he can convince a judge that you're being vindictive. I'm not being vindictive. I'm enforcing the agreement she signed. I know that, but Thompson is good at spinning narratives. He's going to paint you as the cold, calculating businessman who's trying to destroy his cheating wife. And Jennifer. She'll be the confused, remorseful woman who made one mistake and deserves compassion. I rubbed my temples. What do? We fight, and we make sure the judge sees all the evidence of Jennifer's planning and deception. Thompson may be good, but we have the facts on our side. Robert, there's something else you should know. Jennifer's lover just came to see me. He tried to convince me to take her back. Interesting. Why? Because he can't afford her, and she's making his life miserable. Robert laughed. That's actually good news for us. If Jennifer's own lover is trying to get rid of her, it supports our argument that this wasn't a grand romance. It was a calculated affair that backfired. Should we use that information? Absolutely. Harold, Thompson is going to try to make this about your character. We need to make it about Jennifer's choices and their consequences. After hanging up, I realized that the easy part was over. Jennifer had hired a pit bull attorney, and things were about to get very ugly. But I was ready for ugly. I'd been preparing for this fight longer than Jennifer realized. The boring, predictable accountant was about to show everyone exactly how methodical he could be. 3 weeks later, I was working late in my office when Patricia Walsh called with urgent news. Harold, you need to know what's happening. Jennifer and Trevor are on their way to your house right now, and they're both extremely agitated. I checked my watch. It was nearly midnight. What's their state of mind? Angry, desperate. I've been monitoring their situation and things have deteriorated rapidly. Jennifer was fired from her job yesterday for excessive absences. Trevor was evicted from his apartment this morning for non-payment of rent. They're essentially homeless. Where have they been staying? In Jennifer's car. They've been living in her BMW for 2 days. The mental image was almost surreal. My ex-wife, who used to complain if the thread count on our sheets was below 800, sleeping in a car. Patricia, why are they coming to my house at midnight? I think they're planning some kind of confrontation. Maybe they think they can pressure you into helping them, or maybe they're just desperate enough to try something stupid. I looked around my office, then made a decision. I'm not going home tonight. I'll get a hotel room. That's probably wise. But Harold, you should call the police and let them know what's happening. If they're desperate enough to show up at midnight, they might try to break in. I'll call them now. Be careful. Desperate people do unpredictable things. I called 911 and explained the situation to the dispatcher. A patrol car would drive by my house periodically throughout the night. Then I called the hotel near my office and booked a room. As I was packing up my briefcase, my phone rang. Jennifer's number. Hello, Jennifer. Harold, where are you? We're at your house and you're not here. We? Trevor and I. We need to talk to you. It's midnight, Jennifer. Normal people are asleep. This can't wait. We're in trouble and we need your help. What kind of trouble? We have nowhere to go. Trevor lost his apartment. I lost my job. We're living in my car. Harold, please. I know you hate me, but we're desperate. I felt a flicker of sympathy, but I pushed it down. Jennifer, your problems aren't my responsibility anymore. I'm still your wife. You're my estranged wife who's living with her lover. There's a difference. Harold, please. Just let us stay in the house for a few days while we figure things out. Absolutely not. Why are you being so cruel? I'm not being cruel. I'm being realistic. You chose to leave our marriage for Trevor. Now you get to live with that choice. But we have nowhere else to go. You have family. You have friends. You have options. My family won't help me. Amanda says I made my bed and now I have to lie in it. My friends don't want to get involved. Then maybe you should reconsider your choices. There was a pause. Then I heard Trevor's voice in the background, though I couldn't make out the words. Harold, Jennifer said, Trevor wants to talk to you. I have nothing to say to Trevor. Please, just listen to him for a minute. The phone changed hands. Mr. Barnes? This is Trevor. Look, I know we got off on the wrong foot, but we really need your help here. You need my help? You're the man who's been sleeping with my wife for 6 months. I know, and I'm sorry about that. But Jennifer and I, We're in a really bad spot right now. That's unfortunate, but it's not my problem. Come on, man. She's still your wife. You can't just let her live on the street. She's not living on the street. She's living with you, in her BMW apparently. That's not sustainable. Then maybe you should get a job that pays better than personal training. I'm trying, but these things take time. Trevor, let me ask you something. When you started this affair with my wife, did you think about the consequences? Did you consider what would happen if she actually left me for you? We didn't plan for it to go this far. But it did go this far. And now you're both discovering that fantasy and reality are very different things. Look, I get it. You're angry. You have every right to be. But Jennifer doesn't deserve to suffer like this. Jennifer is suffering the natural consequences of her choices. She chose to have an affair, she chose to steal money from our accounts, and she chose to leave our marriage. These consequences aren't punishment. They're just reality. Trevor was quiet for a moment. What if we could work out some kind of arrangement? What kind of arrangement? What if Jennifer came back to you and I just disappeared? You could have your wife back, and we could pretend this whole thing never happened. I almost laughed. Trevor, are you trying to sell my wife back to me? I'm trying to find a solution that works for everyone. Here's a solution that works for me. You and Jennifer figure out your own lives without involving me. But she loves you. She loves my bank account. There's a difference. The phone changed hands again. Jennifer was crying. Harold, please. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I can't live like this. We've been sleeping in my car for 2 days. I haven't showered. I haven't eaten a real meal. I don't have clean clothes. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. It's who you chose to become when you decided our marriage was a prison sentence. I was wrong. I was stupid and selfish and wrong. Yes, you were. So help me fix it. I can't fix your life, Jennifer. Only you can do that. How? I have no money, no job, no place to live. My family won't help me. My friends won't help me. You're the only person who can help me. I'm the person you betrayed and abandoned. I'm the last person who should help you. Harold, I'm begging you. Please, just let us stay in the house for a week while we get back on our feet. Jennifer, if I let you stay in my house, what happens next? Do you and Trevor sleep in my guest room while you figure out your next move? Do I cook breakfast for my wife and her lover? Do we all pretend this is a normal situation? We'll figure something out. No. We won't figure anything out because there's nothing to figure out. You made your choice and now you get to live with it. Harold. I hung up. Immediately the phone rang again. I turned it off. I spent the night at the hotel, but sleep was elusive. I kept thinking about Jennifer's desperation, her tears, her pleas for help. Part of me felt guilty for refusing to help her, but a larger part of me recognized that helping her now would only enable her to continue making poor choices. The next morning, I drove past my house on the way to work. Jennifer's BMW was parked in my driveway, and I could see 2 figures slumped in the front seats. They'd spent the night in the car, in my driveway, probably hoping I'd come home and take pity on them. I drove to work without stopping. At 9 o'clock, Robert called. Harold, I have news. Marcus Thompson withdrew from Jennifer's case this morning. Why? She can't pay his retainer. He required $50,000 up front, and she doesn't have it. So she's representing herself? For now, though I suspect she'll find another attorney eventually. Someone cheaper. Much cheaper. Harold, this is actually good news for us. Thompson was a formidable opponent. Whoever she hires next probably won't be as skilled. What about the emergency support motion? Still pending, but without Thompson pushing it, it'll probably end on the vine. After hanging up, I felt a sense of relief. Jennifer's legal team was falling apart, just like the rest of her life. At lunch, I drove past my house again. The BMW was gone. Patricia called that afternoon. They're at the downtown YMCA, she said. Jennifer's trying to get them a room at the shelter, but there's a waiting list. How is she handling it? Not well. She had a complete breakdown in the YMCA lobby. Security had to calm her down. And Trevor? He's talking about going back to California. Apparently he has family there who might help him. Without Jennifer? That's unclear, but he's definitely having second thoughts about this whole situation. That evening, I was at home when the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Jennifer standing alone on my front porch. She looked terrible. Unwashed hair, wrinkled clothes, dark circles under her eyes. I opened the door but kept the chain lock engaged. "Where's Trevor?" I asked. "Gone. He left this morning. Took a bus back to California." "I see. Harold, can I come in, please? I just need to clean up and think." "Jennifer, I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm not asking for money. I just need a shower and a place to think about what I'm going to do next." I studied her face. The desperation was real, but so was the calculation. Even now, even at her lowest point, Jennifer was working an angle. "Where are you staying tonight?" "I don't know. Maybe my car again." "Your family still won't help?" "Amanda says I need to learn my lesson. My parents say I made my choice and now I have to live with it. They're right. Harold, please. I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm asking for it anyway. One night. Let me shower and sleep in a real bed for one night, and then I'll figure out what to do next." I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman who'd called our marriage a prison sentence, who'd stolen money from our accounts, who'd left me for a personal trainer. She was broken now, defeated, humiliated. "Jennifer, if I let you in, what happens tomorrow? Do you leave? Do you stay? Do you try to convince me to take you back?" "I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's not good enough. Harold, I'm desperate. I have nowhere else to go." "You have the same options you had yesterday." "No, I don't. Trevor was my last option, and he's gone." "Then maybe it's time to consider that your choices have consequences." Jennifer started crying again. "I know I hurt you. I know I betrayed you, but I'm still a human being, and I'm asking for basic human compassion. You're asking for help from the person you hurt the most, because you're the only person who might still care about me. I don't care about you anymore, Jennifer. I care about the person you used to be, but that person is gone. She's not gone. She's just lost. She's been lost for 6 months, maybe longer." Jennifer pressed her face against the door. "Harold, please. I'm begging you. Help me." I stood there for a long moment, looking at my estranged wife through the crack in the door. She was pathetic, desperate, broken. Everything she'd feared about leaving me had come true. "Jennifer, I want you to listen to me very carefully." "I'm listening." "You made a series of choices over the past 6 months. You chose to have an affair. You chose to steal money from our accounts. You chose to plan your escape from our marriage. You chose to insult and belittle me. You chose to leave me for another man. These were all your choices. I know. Now you're facing the consequences of those choices, and you want me to rescue you from them. Yes. But rescuing you would teach you that your choices don't have real consequences. It would enable you to continue making poor decisions because you'd know that someone would always bail you out. Harold, I'm not going to do that, Jennifer. I'm not going to rescue you from the consequences of your choices. You're an adult, and adults are responsible for their decisions. So you're just going to let me suffer? I'm going to let you learn. Learn what? That actions have consequences, that betrayal has costs, that you can't treat people badly and expect them to help you when your life falls apart. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. So there's nothing I can say? Nothing I can do to make you help me? Nothing. Even if I promise to change? You've already broken too many promises. Even if I sign away any claim to your assets? You already did that 3 years ago. Even if I beg? You are begging. It's not working. Jennifer stepped back from the door. I can't believe you're this cold. I'm not cold, Jennifer. I'm just done being your safety net. She turned and walked away, her shoulders shaking with sobs. I watched through the window as she got into her BMW and drove away. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and sat in my living room, thinking about the conversation. I felt sad for Jennifer, but I didn't feel guilty. She'd made her choices, and now she was living with them. That wasn't cruelty. That was justice. My phone buzzed with a text message from Patricia Walsh. Jennifer just checked into a motel on McLaughlin Boulevard, paid for one night with her credit card. After tonight, she'll be maxed out. I turned off the phone and finished my wine. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, I was at peace with my decision. The boring, predictable accountant had learned something important. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices, even when those people used to be your wife.